Thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to show you 10 items under $50 that I have made my shop a more efficient and productive place, both for woodworking and home improvement. Let's take a look.
All right, so first up, we have a 9.5-inch Dozuki Pull Saw, and this is something I bought on Amazon. It's about $40 US, $50 Canadian, made in Japan, and just a really nice pull saw. So if you're cutting fine pieces, you can get a really nice edge, very sharp teeth that work really well on pieces, and you also have the ability to do a little bit of flush cutting by bending this. I did bend the end of this when it fell off a workbench, but still works really well, and it's definitely a saw that I recommend checking out. Moving on, we have the second tool here, which is not a woodworking tool and not one that you would use in the shop all the time, but a tool that I absolutely love for home improvement projects, and that is the Klein Tools Katapult wire stripper. So you can easily input or insert whatever gauge wire you're using. Then there's this back piece that will clasp onto the plastic and rubber bit of the wire, and then it pulls it off. So just very nice, easy way to get a very clean cut on your wires. And there's also a cutter in there. So this retails for, I think, around $30 US, around $42 Canadian. Again, links below for all of these products. And moving on, let's move to something a little bigger. So next up we have the DeWalt Tough System large toolbox. And I've had a few of these. So I think I had up to 5 at one point when I had a big rack that held these. And then I since moved to some built-in cabinets in the shop. But I've kept a couple of these primarily for transporting tools and going to different job sites and helping people out. Really high quality. This is the Tough System 1.0, not the 2.0, which was just released earlier this year or late last year. But really nice metal clasps. And this is the large size, so they do make them in a number of sizes. And here I just have my reciprocating saw and a few accessories, but I usually just load this up with tools whenever I'm going to somebody's house to help them with a project. And if you wanted to lock it, you could. It is a certain level of waterproof, and there's also air seal and all that kind of stuff. But this is around, I think it's around $50 US and $50 Canadian, so definitely a good value in Canada. And I'm sure it does go on sale in the US, but this is the 1.0 and the new 2.0 system is out, which does improve on a few things. But for me, this is a really handy accessory to have when it comes to the shop. So now we're going to move to two tools from Kreg, and the first of which is the Automaxx clamp. And this, if you are familiar with the Kreg pocket hole jig, you've probably used this to clamp pieces together or to clamp the jig down. Just really nice pads on the top, and it adjusts to whatever size material you're putting into it. Just to show you, so some 3/4 inch material there, and then if I also wanted to check it with some thicker material, it will automatically adjust to that. So super easy clamp to use. They are, I think, around $32 US for the 3-inch version. I've had no need for the 6-inch. I do have a couple of the 6-inch clamps, but the 3-inch is pretty much what I use all the time, and they're around $45 Canadian. So super handy to have, and really nice clamp, even if you don't use any of the Kreg's other tools. So then moving to Kreg's other item in this list, and that is the concealed hinge jig. And I love this thing. So I have the majority of the Kreg cabinetry jigs to mount drawer slides and to put in poles and that sort of thing. And they're all great. I do really like them all, but this concealed hinge jig is definitely my favorite. So it just has a simple Forstner bit that you can then set the depth, and there are a few other settings on the jig as well for the Euro style hinges, and just a really nice way to get that that really nice hole for mounting hinges. It's something that's been invaluable to me to not only get the hinge in the right place, but to also get a really clean cut using the 35mm Forstner bit. So really nice addition, and something that I use a lot for cabinetry work. And I think that this retails for, I think it's $28 to $30 US and around $40 to $45 Canadian. So not cheap, but if you do get this, you can get this as part of a cabinetry kit from Kreg. And if you are doing a lot of cabinetry, I recommend checking out that kit. Moving on, two of the best, or really one set, some of the best purchases I've ever made for the shop, and that is these Irwin vice grips. So you might remember the old style vice grips that have bit more of the clamping mechanism. Well, these are kind of more of a slightly modern version, although I do use those other ones sometimes. Just really nice sliding mechanism, great for any sort of wrenching needs, any sort of like vise needs, and just really, really handy. And the 2-pack, really comfortable grip too. The 2-pack is like $26 to $30 US, and I think around $40 Canadian. So really nice set to have on hand if you need wrenches or adjustable wrenches or that sort of thing. Definitely check these out. They are really quite nice. Okay, moving along, we now actually have the Bosch router, Deluxe router guide. And so I'm showing the Bosch one here, and we'll link this one below, but really any router edge guide for your router, I'd probably put in this list. So whether you're on the DeWalt system, Porter cable system, or any of the others, but a good quality router edge guide is not that expensive. So this one is, I think, around $40 US, closer to $70 Canadian. So not as inexpensive in Canada, although it does go on sale, and it has nice dust collection, fine adjust on this Bosch version. So this is the RA1054, and I'll link a video review that I did on this unit before, but I would say that the Bosch is among the best of the edge guides that I've used. I've also used the Porter cable one, which is also pretty good, and the DeWalt one, which is not that great. So, but really any router edge guide would make my list for kind of those shop essentials under $50. So next up, we have our router bits, and this is a kit. And I know in previous videos, I have mentioned that I'm not super fond of big router bit kits where you can get like 60 or 70 router bits for $40 or $50. But in this case, I am making an exception, and this is only 15 router bits, and these all have 1/2-inch shanks. And just to show you one of these up close. So it comes in this nice little box, and just pretty nice quality bits from MLCS. And you may recognize MLCS from sponsorships of other people. But for me, I bought these on Amazon. They're like $45 to $50 Canadian for this 15-pack. And I think about $70 to $75 Canadian. So not the cheapest in Canada, but for a good quality set of bits that has really kind of what you need, and comes with a little guide as far as like what all the profiles are. But really happy with this. They've seen a reasonable amount of use. They've held up pretty well, and really a good kit to get you started without wasting money on bits that you'll never use. Okay, so the second to last one is a very interesting one, and this is the Huepar laser level. So this is the HP9011G, and it is a very inexpensive laser level. So it really just mounts to the top of a tripod. You can get it level, it'll self-balance, and then it will shoot green lines all over the wall. This is a very inexpensive one, so I think it's right around $50 US, and maybe $55 to $60 Canadian. So not too expensive. I've gotten a pretty good amount of use out of it, and I've been super happy given the price. It's not as good as what you're going to get when you're buying one of the better like DeWalt or Bosch ones, but definitely worthy of checking out if you're looking for a laser level on the cheap. So handy to have around. It does chew through batteries pretty quickly, so I think it's actually dead right now. But I've been pretty happy with this the few times that I've used it. All right, now finally we have a drill press table, and the one that I have here is from CraftX, which is the store brand for Busy Bee tools here in Canada. I think it sells there for around $75 Canadian, although it can often be had for $50 to $55. And when looking on Amazon.com, I actually found that the Wen version is around $50 and almost identical to this in every way. So really basic drill press table. Let's check the dimensions. So it's 24 inches wide and just about a foot deep. And nothing super fancy about it, but it's not super expensive. Has like a nice little stop here. It's all built out of MDF. You can easily put mounts into the T-track, and then you can also replace the insert in here, so you can use it as a sacrificial spot to drill through. And really, it's just a small thing for me to attach to my small, inexpensive drill press. Nothing too fancy. It has some pretty universal clamping mechanisms, so you can mount it to pretty much any drill press table that you already have. And yeah, so I've been super happy with it, and definitely something worthy of checking out if you have a small, inexpensive drill press and aren't looking for anything too fancy.
So thanks for watching my video on the 10 items under $50 that I think have made my shop a more efficient place. Be sure to check the description below where I have links to all the products that I've showcased here, and leave a comment below with the items under $50 that really make your shop a more efficient place as well. So thanks for watching. See you in the next video.